there's a microphone right there to catch the last gurgles, and Technicolor to photograph the red swollen tongue.
Hey, Vern.
Future events such as these
Angling?
will affect you in the future.
Damn you, Rabbit! You smell like fucking piss!
You're watching The Projectors.
Hell yeah!
A film fan program discussing a variety of movies from history and around the world.
What do you think of this boner I got?
Featuring your hosts, Bob Sham.
When you're Scandinavian, flopping out your mommy milkers is nothing.
And Angela.
If they were just gun perverts, this would be fine.
Party!
Thank you for selecting The Projectors.
I want French pancakes like at IHOP.
And now a preview of our film discussion.
Acclaimed for his role in Boys in the Hood, Larry Fishburne is Officer Russell Stevens.
I knew you'd come.
There's a thin line between catching a criminal and becoming one. Deep Cover. Directed by Bill Duke.
I talk about our rating system. It doesn't matter, right? I say that all the time because it doesn't.
Right.
It really matters what's in your heart. And I once asked if maybe we should get rid of it, and you were like, no, I don't want to. So for your sake, because of Angela, we'll always have that rating system. The reason why the rating system is so silly is because this is an example of a movie that will defy it. Because, you know, I just guessing, I don't suspect this movie will hit like an S tier, but I don't suspect it'll go under a B. I'd be shocked if it went under a B. No, I'm not going to allow that to happen. But I would watch this movie over many movies that we said were S tier masterpieces.
Okay.
I would watch this movie several times probably over movies that we were like, these are just high-end works of art. I think this movie is kind of a work of art, but it is strange, and it is it's got a great style to it. It almost feels, you know, maybe a word that's going to be overused a lot. I don't want to say Lynchian. That sounds lame as hell. But there's a couple of parts that felt like some David Lynch shit was going on. Well, we're talking about the film Deep Cover from 1992, directed by Bill Duke, a prolific actor. He's got some movies under his belt. This is for our theme, Body and Soul, so he is a black director. And our black lead is Lawrence Fishburne, and he's followed up with Jeff Goldblum, Charles Martin Smith, and Clarence Williams III, among others. Written by Michael Tolkien and Henry Bean, based upon a story by Michael Tolkien. Cinematography by Bohan Bazelli. This movie did double its budget. $8 million cost, made $16 million. Because that's you can imagine a movie like this making any money today. But back then, when people would just be like, fuck it, let's go to the movies. I don't even know what I'm going to go see. Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne? Sure, why not? We kind of need that energy back. You know?
Yeah.
That going to the movies energy back. And this has become a fairly cult favorite neo-noir crime film. And it's got the great elements. There's even the lead of the movie doing narration, just like an old school noir.
I didn't want the assignment. I sat there the whole interview thinking that if I took it, it would be the biggest mistake of my life. And I was right.
These are my jams. This is the movies I like. Crime in general, noir, neo-noir. This is what we love. This, you can consider this almost a preview of our next neo-noir month that's coming this summer. I think they were utilizing the synthetic drugs that they invented for this movie.
Sure.
I think there was a lot of experimentation on the set here. Lawrence plays Agent Russell Stevens Jr., who tragically, as a young man, watched his father get shot down while he robbed a liquor store. The father didn't even have the common decency to just drop the kid off somewhere before going to rob the liquor store. He just got violently gunned down in front of his son, and he died in his son's arm. He was like,
Sorry. Honey. My father, when I saw him die like that, saw him find his grave in the snow, I only had one thought. It wasn't gonna happen to me.
He had to have been no older than 8 years old. So this changes his life. And this happens in Cincinnati, where things like that would happen. He is recruited as a regular beat police officer by Mr. Charles Martin Smith, character actor, plays Jerry Carver, asking him racist questions. He essentially takes on a job to go deep cover to take down some, I guess you call them cartel members now. That word's kind of spread thin. Whenever an Hispanic guy deals drugs, people just say cartel.
He wanted him to take down sort of the bottom of the pyramid.
I love the part where he's explaining, like, because he's getting all this information. It's like, hey, we could swing right up to the top.
He's
right?
like, no.
But there is like good reasons for that really tie into the overall rigged state of corruption. Like, this movie kind of is the failures of drug and anti-drug policing, right? Or an aspect of those failures. And because it definitely shows that you can put all these resources and do all this, but then there's these bigger issues, right? Then you're getting into like bureaucratic issues when people are connected, or certain people are snitches for certain departments, and how that ties everything up. And you really end up, this movie's almost about how government agencies, intelligence agencies, will be more than willing to poison their own people and kill them if it means that they can maintain some kind of bureaucratic hold through certain channels of power. And we even have our lead, like, at one point kill a man, and it's not that big a deal because he has to prove that he is like a hardened criminal.
It's not a big deal to his supervisor. It's a big deal to him.
Sure.
It's huge to him. But yeah, he's someone that, because his dad, the last words his dad said to him were, "Don't ever be like me." He said in that moment, he was like, "I'm never going to do any of that shit." So he goes into this world, and one of the most telling scenes that kind of sets everything up that you just said, that just made me feel so weird, and I don't think it's something that gets addressed very often. He goes into his supervisor with all this cocaine, and he's like, "I have all of this."
This is a great scene,
and
actually.
the supervisor goes,
I can't buy that much shit, John. I don't have that in the budget.
What am I supposed to do with it?
You're a drug dealer. Deal drugs.
He does his job well in the beginning. And for the department, he's almost doing it too well. He wants to swing high, and they're like, no, swing like around the middle.
Yeah,
like,
he rises in the ranks too fast. His supervisor, in one scene, is saying, "Everyone who sells drugs is essentially putting a gun to my child's head." And in another scene, he's like, "Go fucking sell the drugs." It's insane. It's insane.
When he first hits the streets, right, it's there's a lot of reds and blues in this movie. Like, when he gets out on the street, adjacent to the neon lights, everything looks really red. And we got a lot of that Michael Mann blue as we get deeper, and he starts to make a lot of money. But the shots here are like really cool. And we meet one of these guys. We saw him play Smiley and Do the Right Thing. Roger Guenveur Smith is Eddie. He's this kind of like weird gangster, and I like how they play him up. He's a guy that like he tweaks a little bit. He's spun up, but he's very like talkative, like an eccentric.
He's rhyming all the time.
I once knew a brother named John who loved to dance when he got it on. He made the pussy do the Watusi, and she said, "Ooh, goddamn, this rhythm is strong. Stay black."
He said nigga talking about stay black. Nigga stay off that crack.
And I like the way they play that character up, because having like, Roger Guenveur Smith, he kind of looks like, he looks a little nerdy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if he's just going to be like a straight up gangster, I don't think that would work. So they really embody that character, but he becomes like a sacrificial lamb essentially as an angle for Agent Russell Stevens, who essentially is working for the DEA now, to work his way into this Felix Barbosa gang. And can I talk about this fucking gang real quick? It is Felix Barbosa. He's a vaguely Latino dude.
Finally, Felix Barbosa. The first stop on Carver's Pyramid. I was right where I was supposed to be.
Listen, that really depends upon what you're saying, David. I mean, what are you saying, David? Are you saying something about me, David?
Who funnels drugs through a guy named Gallegos or something. And he's got a buddy who looks like he could be a generic mobster heavy in an Italian mobster movie. And then he's got another guy who's played by character actor Sidney Lassick. They call him the Gopher.
Come on, Eddie. Tell the truth. Be honorable. That's all you got left.
Fuck you, little faggot. Ain't had pussy since pussy had you.
Who's like a little gay man with a camera.
I adored him.
These are almost like Dick Tracy characters, like how strange they just are.
Well, and you also have Jeff Goldblum.
You were so like some beautiful panther or jungle storm. This is not my condescending infatuation with just everything black. Those politically conservative Negroes can kiss my ass, and the anti-Semitic pricks can kiss my ass, but you have the gift of fury. You're like a dangerous, magnificent beast.
Watch your mouth, Dick.
And Jeff Goldblum, I love him. His range in this movie is ridiculous. Like, this character goes from kind of being like a nerd, just like money businessman, to a fucking straight up villain at the end. I've never seen him play that evil or try to. It's just so funny to me. Like, but there are these moments where, like you said, it does feel very Dick Tracy. It feels very silly. It feels very comic book. And then there are other moments where it feels so fucking serious and real, and people are dying, and drugs are being sold, and hearts are being broken.
Yeah, there is like a message here.
Yes.
And it actually is a very well put message. The overall corruption from top to bottom.
Well, and even to the point where this guy who is straight edge dude who wants to be a policeman to do some good in the world, he gets corrupted by the whole thing because his supervisor says to him at one point, go spend some money. Get a nicer house, get a car, get some clothes. And he does, and he starts fucking this girl who is a cardboard cutout of a woman. I always get mad at you for talking about the women being pointless, but this woman was pointless.
Well, she's not bringing... In the scenes where Russell is with her, he feels like a David Lynch character who has to approach this woman. Because you know how in David Lynch movies, people have a very particular and assertive way of talking sometimes.
And why do you look at me like that?
How do I look at you?
Like you know something I don't. Like you're better than me.
I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I know you can't stop thinking about me, though.
No, that's part of your...
And she reminded me, even the way he kissed her, like leaning into the shot and it turning like that, it felt like some David Lynch shit. But yeah, she's just this girl who's like an art dealer.
She does business with him, though. She launders the money for
and
him.
She does cocaine. She is very flat, but she's not, I wouldn't say she's completely unentertaining. No. Like the way she is presented is just almost bizarre, so bizarre that I can't even pretend to not be entertained by it.
Yes, I do agree with that, but it's just so surface. It's, and listen, maybe she's good in other things, but it's the vibe of she was someone's girlfriend who they put in this movie. That's the vibe you get because everything is very just like straight on, and I don't know if that's her trying to be like, oh, I'm high. Also, because she does do coke all of the time.
But also, we should point out that character it's only really in very recent movie history where that's the girlfriend character stopped appearing as much. Like for the better part of a century, movies were like, we need the girlfriend.
There always has to be a love interest.
So that's important context to keep in mind, but there's really no excuse to not. But, well, actually, you had more of a problem with it. The way she was, I felt was very humorous. I think we were humored by it in two different ways. Yeah. But yeah, the Jeff Goldblum character here is so fun. David Jason. He's a high rolling defense attorney, and he meets Russell when Russell gets busted.
You're a lawyer?
Yeah, I'm your lawyer.
Who hired you?
I'm handling it pro bono. But if you don't want me, there's the PD. And she's good, she just can't provide special services.
NC 37455, People versus John Hull.
Getting the case called for.
How do you plead?
Well, Russell ended up buying baby powder. He thought he was buying drugs, and he managed to prove that in court. I'm pretty sure the defense has to reveal before you even get to there that they didn't actually have drugs on them. Like the way the legal system works in movies, and in this one no less, is, but fuck it, right? Fuck it.
Yeah, who cares?
These are movies.
But when he is in jail, that's when he meets the Reverend.
Jeff Goldblum, he is in on it. He works with Felix Barbosa, the drug dealer, but he's also got his own thing going on, and he works it out with Russell that they can come up. They know a guy who can make a synthetic drug.
This is a chemical variant. It increases attention, energy, cognitive powers, yet with a smooth, opiate-like emotional surface. It's completely legal, and I'm the only one who knows how to make it.
How much can you make it for?
Give me $5 million, and I'll supply the whole West Coast for 30 cents a pop.
It's like cocaine, but more euphoric, right? So we got designer drugs on the market that they're coming together to put through, but Russell needs to get stronger on the streets, and he's got this guy that kind of pushes him around. But it's so funny to me when you get these kind of montages of Russell out in the streets throwing his weight around, that the Jeff Goldblum's character of David Jason is out on the streets too. This is like a high-end like defense attorney who's got a nice house in the fucking hills with his white wife and white children, and he's just gonna go just duck behind a building and make sure that Russell is being the proper gangster that he needs him to be. And it's just very funny that he's passionate about this. He's willing to actually put his ass on the street himself.
And his wife knows what he's doing, but she doesn't know about his mistress, who he also has a very nice apartment that he has this lady set up in. But she knows he's in the drug business.
Russell does encounter, when he first gets arrested, the detective played by character actor Clarence Williams III. Clarence Williams often plays more hardened, angry gangsters or villainous characters, but he actually plays an ultra-religious cop who's trying through religion and faith to get Russell to settle down. But Russell can't just be like, I'm a cop.
Yeah.
So he has to just he respects the guy, but he has to just push him away because he doesn't have a choice. And they make crazy money. He's able to get the Michael Mann apartment.
They're not actually selling the synthetic drugs yet because the whole thing is trying to make enough money to put the drugs into production.
They need $5 million.
They do. They have samples of it. Because the big climactic thing is them trying to do a big deal to say, give us all this money to do these drugs and we'll cut you in.
There's one part, and we'll just glaze over this, where he first moves in to take the deep cover job. And he lives across from this lady who's obviously a junkie. And I felt like these, for a movie with a lot of like really melodramatic moments, I felt like this was almost too much for the movie overall. But she tries to sell him her kid for $3,000 because he's a nice guy and the kid could use a father figure, but she's trying to sell her kid. That's how much of a junkie she is.
And then her second option is, I can be your girl.
And she didn't
try that first.
And she ends up dying, but of course the implication is that he is a part of something that is contributing to her death.
And he does end up taking care of the boy at the end. The one thing, the coolest part of that whole story, I think, was he got to say in his narration the great line of,
Mrs. G called the rescue squad, but by the time they got there, she was dead. Until I saw her lying there quiet for once, I never realized how pretty she was. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to look at her. But I couldn't get up off the bed.
That's the classic noir shit that I will just, like a fish on the hook, I will bite into it every time.
I wanted more of it.
So Russell has to kill this rival dealer who he saw this dealer like shoot like a 13-year-old kid.
He's a bad guy.
Street corner kid.
He also quotes the Terminator all the time.
Yeah. Well, hasta la vista.
And then he says, I'll be back.
It was the biggest movie the year before. You can't blame him. Excellent S-tier film. He has to kill him. And he knows if he wants to maintain his cover, he has to kill him. So he meets him in a club bathroom, but he's shaking because he's never killed anyone before. We have to assume even as a cop, he never killed anyone before. And The guy just laughs at him. He's like, yeah, you should have shot me while my back was turned. Then he starts pissing on his shoes, and he's like, you ain't shit. And then Agent Russell pops him in the chest.
The other guy pulls his gun, though. Like, he doesn't shoot him until the other guy goes for his gun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he has to, because then he's going to die.
Yeah. I think that's what he wanted him to do the whole time, but it just took...
Give me a reason.
He just had to belittle him and then piss on his shoes before he did it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so he ends up shooting the guy, but it does fuck with him. And the Charles Martin Smith character, Agent Carver, he's like, oh, I know what you've done.
He keeps saying, I know everything, I'm God.
So what was it like?
What was what like?
Popping Ivy. I'm God, remember?
Then you should know what it was like.
There are some great lines.
There really are.
There really are. They want to try to make a deal with Felix so that they can connect to Gallegos, who is the bigwig here. He's like the Pablo Escobar guy. But they want to hook up with... I mean, Russell wants to do it so they can link into these big dealers. But Jason wants to do it, Jeff Goldblum, because they could expand their coming empire and get their synthetic drugs out.
But his supervisor is like, no. Do not touch this guy.
Yeah.
Do not go to this deal.
And there's a reason for that.
Well, of course, and you could read between the lines that there is, but at this point, dude, so far in, he feels like he also has to protect what he has going.
They end up meeting Felix and they take him, and I forget what the setting is, but they turn his tie around, Felix's tie around, and he's wired.
And local cops are up on this ridge looking down and have guns and are waiting for the right moment. When the deal happens, then they're going to swoop in and arrest these dudes.
This is one of those, it's so funny, it's great scenes where Clarence Williams, that's when you realize that Felix is his informant. And then he's got this guy that we saw earlier.
Looks like we got a problem. Shit! Let me use the scope. What are you doing? He's got a gun. What are you doing? He's got a gun.
I gotta pull this gun out and shoot him at no one's command. And the Clarence Williams detective character's like, what are you doing? But is not actively trying to stop him from shooting.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to accidentally hit the informant. This part goes bonkers. So Jason and Russell, they have Felix in the car, and Jason is like losing his shit. The Jeff Goldblum character.
He's also super high. He and the girl's there too. They're all in this limo or this nice car.
The girl did not need to be there, but fuck it, she'll be there. And he's shooting Felix in the hands and stuff, and then he's commanding him to like jump out of the car while there are active police sent by the detective because
he's like, you're a traitor.
Because
Get the fuck
it was supposed to be a bus, and they're getting away. They're running from the police in a limousine. Got to be one of the most conspicuous cars you could probably be driving.
And they're in a fucking tunnel.
And they're trying to get Felix to just jump out of the car while it's moving. And there's a point where they have to turn around in the tunnel. And I was like, why didn't Felix just jump? I would have jumped the fuck out right there.
You hear Jason go, get out now.
They turn around and finally Felix does jump out of the car.
Ugh.
And it was cool stunt work to see a man like take off the car.
It looked very fake though. There was, when the body hit the side of the car.
When the cop car hits Felix.
That's the part.
It's bodied. No, I loved it.
But it looked like a dummy. It looked like a dummy.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
I mean, that is why it's great, but it did not look real. It did not look good. It looked funny.
This movie is fun.
It is fun. It is.
I had a lot of fun watching this movie.
So then he finds out that this guy, Felix, owed a bunch of money to the bigger boss, the one he's been trying to get to, the one that his supervisor keeps saying, leave him alone. He has a very rich uncle who's a politician who we don't want to fuck with. Like, leave this guy alone.
Yeah.
But Lawrence Fishburne is like, well, they do a meet, and the guy's like, well, you killed Felix, so now you owe me all the money that he owed.
Were they just in a graveyard, or did they have this meet at fucking Felix's funeral?
Felix Barbosa was a skinny 14-year-old.
Here he was at last. Anton Gallegos. A creep in a black cape. And now I began to wonder Barbosa's death had gotten us here.
And that killed him.
Did I let David kill him?
Now we will see if you will do as well as he.
Did I want him to?
Or were they just in the graveyard?
I don't recall.
I was trying to investigate. It's like, are they having this conversation at a funeral?
I don't know.
By the graveside?
I don't remember the setting. I just remember the conversation.
Maybe they were just in. I can't really recall. Maybe they were just in graveyard.
Maybe they were.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where they met up. But yeah, he says, you owe me $1.8 million. Come to find out, that's not how much money it was, but it doesn't matter because the guy's like, this is how much I say you owe me. You have 24 hours to get it to me. So these guys are like trying to get money all over the place. Also, Lawrence Fishburne at this point, after Felix dies, he goes and talks to his supervisor and he's like, what the fuck? He was also working for you, but you've got me going after him. Like, you guys aren't even talking to each other. What is going on? How are you playing me? Like, and the guy's like, oh, they didn't tell me everything either.
You know, they're bringing me to Washington. Come along with me, man. We'll go to Washington. We'll have a budget, huh? We'll have some clout.
I didn't get into this for that.
Well, neither did I. But that's all there is. If the fucking spoils of war, you might as well enjoy it.
Well, if that's all there is, I've been wasting my motherfucking time with you. I can get more clout and more money on the street than I can get following your ass to Washington.
But he looks at his guy and he's like, I fucking quit.
Yeah.
I love this line. He says,
I'm a cop pretending to be a drug dealer. I ain't nothing but a drug dealer pretending to be a cop.
So now he's quit. Now he's just a drug dealer.
he takes a drink immediately
Yeah,
and is like,
he drinks for the first time.
high as fuck.
And like does like their whatever synthetic drug they pass around. I love that. And so yeah, he is that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going around and they want to do a hit. What do they want to do with
they
Gallegos?
take all the money to him. So
Yeah.
it's in this theater. And this guy is just like swinging his dick around because they come in with these big suitcases of money and he's like, sit them down. Bring me the stuff. Like, it's very like, he doesn't even let them like get.
And Agent Carver is warning him not to do this.
Yeah, he's like, don't go anywhere near him. But he knows that this guy is going to kill him if he doesn't kill this guy. And this is the point of no return, he says, because he kills, is it Gallego?
Yeah.
He kills him. And they kill a couple other guys.
They
that are
very
there too.
easily kill him and his men. Like Jeff Goldblum just takes another guy's arm while he's holding his gun and shoots like one of the bodyguards.
The turning point for Jeff Goldblum, for Mr. Jason, was in that limousine that night.
The drugs.
He got high off killing Felix.
The drugs have given Jeff Goldblum's character of David Jason. He's already very confident, right? Because he's a hotshot defense lawyer. But those drugs have helped him become a true gangster. Like, to raise that confidence to the point where, yeah, he really can be the guy, right?
It's insane. And then, so obviously, the next step is the big guy who's the politician who his boss definitely was like, don't go anywhere near this dude, but he's not connected to the police anymore. And at this point, as far as he's concerned, Jeff Goldblum at the beginning of this, big old nerd Jeff Goldblum, right? Big old nerd, suits, fluffy hair. By the time we get to this last scene, he is wearing slicked back hair. He's got on a leather jacket. He's talking differently.
You racist Americans, you just want to cut us poor Hispanics completely out of the market.
No, Mr. Guzman, I think you know that there's no such thing as an American anymore. No Hispanics, no Japanese, no blacks, no whites, no nothing. It's just rich people and poor people. The three of us are all rich, so we're on the same side.
Because he's decided now he's no longer a lawyer. He's a fucking gangster.
And the large jackets,
That
right?
jacket.
Like back in the late 80s, 90s, early 90s.
It makes you look like your shoulders.
Yeah, it makes you look like in the silhouette, looks like you're wearing like a zoot suit. You're just wearing like a giant fucking jacket.
This is when they go to meet the politician. So they go there and the Reverend's following because he's trying to figure out what's going on. And he's the whole time been running into John, Lawrence Fishburne. And he's staking out, but he's alone. And they go up to this boat. They stole a bunch of money from the politician guy. Like, they intercepted. So they basically, when they killed Gallegos, they took all the money that was in this truck. And so they have it up on this crane on this freight. And
right.
The richo politician guys come. And this scene's great, too, because they're standing up higher and they're like, okay, we have your money, but we have a proposal for you. And Jeff Goldblum's like, if you look at the proposal laying in front of you, and it's like this glossy pages, like brochure about their designer drug.
He was really fucking into printing that out. Oh, and Clarence William, he's trying to call it in some backup, right?
Yeah.
Because for some reason he's there. This is the bravest cop that's ever existed.
Gopher's also there, but we don't see him a lot, but he has a video camera.
So Clarence Williams' character is calling it in, And they're like, you cannot touch this at all, this guy.
You cannot, repeat, cannot delay him or arrest him in any way. Do you copy?
Yeah. Will not arrest or delay. But I think there's drug money out there, and I can't arrest and delay that. Now you get me back up, because I'm not letting it get away. You got it. I'm not letting it get away.
I know I have the authority to seize drug money, and I'm going to do it against all of these armed people all
There's
by
so
myself.
many armed people. And then they say, well, how do we know this is any good? And they say, well, there's a container of the drug there. His right-hand man snorts it and goes, buy it.
That's like some movie crime shit you love.
Yes. Buy it.
Well, fucking Detective Taft, Clarence Williams III, he's like, hey, motherfuckers, you're all under arrest. He gets shot the fuck up.
Yeah.
So the thing's spread out, so everyone's freaking the fuck out. So Russell is sitting there with, well, his undercover name is John Hull. You said that earlier. And he's trying to save his life. And Jason is like, what are you doing?
Well, and right before this, and you know, this is very obvious, it's how this is going to go, is that the Reverend is speaking to him and calling him son and saying, you don't have to do this. Like, it's not too late for you. You don't want to kill me. And he's not going to shoot him, but they're like, the politician guys are gone. They fucked out of there. But he's saying, like, you don't need to shoot me. You don't need to shoot me. And that's when Jeff Goldblum is the one that shoots the Reverend. And then John is so upset and he's like, why did you do this? And
Russell tells him, I'm a cop. Jason's like, oh my God, like he's overwhelmed. But then he's like,
forget this Judeo-Christian bullshit. The same people that taught us virtue are the very ones who have enslaved us, baby.
How have you done it?
We've had fun. And I know your dick gets hard for money, power, and women. And it doesn't matter that you're a cop, so let's get in the van.
I know you've killed people. You've done drugs. You've sold drugs. Look, we can still run off. It's not like you're the only corrupt cop I've ever met in my life. Get in this van and we'll go. And he's like, he's staying there, and Jason gets up like he's going to walk away. It seemed weird that Jason wouldn't just kill him if he doesn't immediately go with him.
Agree.
But they end up having to pull on each other, and Jason catches one.
this is how cold Jason is. John Hull is crying. Russell is crying, holding this man, telling him, like, you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. Telling Jason, I'm not going to go with you. And Jason, with his gun, is like, this is what's standing between us?
Is this it? Is this what's standing between us and greatness? Huh?
This man?
Yeah.
This is what's between us?
It's icy.
And he just, like, shoots him, and he's
it's
like...
icy as hell.
He's like, now, no blockages. Get in the fucking van. Let's go.
Well, now Jason is dead. Justice in whatever form, well... We'll get to justice because we're going into a courtroom scene now.
This is great.
And it seems like you could throw a lot against Agent Russell here, or Officer Russell Stevens, if you really wanted to. But we pull out the, I have secret information clause. I mean, there's a method of discovery in court where you get all your evidence together. And if something new comes up, you have to turn it over to either the prosecutor or the defense, and then process that evidence needs to be processed. But in the movies,
This is not a trial. This is like a deposition.
Oh, okay.
This is a deposition. I think there's different rules, right? So he's there with a lawyer to, like, protect his rights, but no one's going against him. They just want to know what happened. And they have his girl. He tried to put her on a plane out of the country, but they
Right,
have his
that's
girl.
who he's trying to protect,
and they're
right.
like, in order to protect her, you have to say only good things about the supervisor and the whole
Carver.
program.
And they
you have
do.
to say the whole program, and he does. And he's like, okay, but my lawyer has to sign off on this, and I want it in writing exactly what you want me to do. And so he does everything he's supposed to do, and then he just simply goes, and now I have a video to show you.
And the video is
The politician snorting the designer drug.
Hell yeah.
what's funny here is that Agent Carver, even though he's been had his balls thoroughly licked and praised in the courtroom as he wanted, he is visibly like, what the fuck are you doing when you do this part?
Because
like,
he was supposed to be protecting that man.
well, you wouldn't be like outwardly like, you got to play your cool and then make the threats behind the closed doors. But he just loses his shit and he's screaming, which just implicates that you're complicit in this whole thing. But
You should play like, I don't fucking know anything about this.
Yeah, he should be like, whoa, what? I had no idea. That's what he should do instead of chasing Russell out the door. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and before,
in front of all the media.
Before Russell and his lady get up and he grabs his girl's hand, his lawyer and the lady go out, these men who are like hearing this deposition, one of them is actually like, this is slander. Turn this off. This is facts. That's exactly the kind of shit that happens every day in things like this, is that you go, oh no, don't talk bad about that man. We have a relationship with that man. Fuck the relationship. He's doing something illegal and bad, but it's like, oh no, this can't be real. This can't be what you're saying it is.
And that is the film Deep Cover, the crazy ass neo-noir as I like it. I think you're going to accuse me of being a little too hard on for it. I'm a 4. I love me some Deep Cover.
He adopts a little boy at the end, and he took like $1 million, and he and his girl and this little boy are just going to go have a life, I guess.
Man, are you going to hook up with that girl? I mean, I guess he was no different, really.
He loved her. But I'm going to give it a 3.5.
That is a 7.5.
It was really fun. And even the inconsistency part I was talking about kind of kept me on my toes.
You couldn't take your eyes off.
It was
this
never
movie.
boring. Also,
that's what movies should be all about at the end of the day. Deep Cover, Bill Dukes. There's so much crazy shit in this. I'm sure we missed it, but it's a B+ movie. I think it's probably more than an A, but Angela has to have her opinions as well.
B is really good.
And like I said, I would pick this movie over many S-tier movies.
Guess what? The ratings don't matter, Bob.
That's what I'm saying. It shares the rankings with movies like Dancer in the Dark, which is ranked way too high.
No, it's not.
Movies like Bad Santa, A New Leaf, Gun Crazy, Eyes Wide Shut, which I think maybe I'll bump that up to an A. Friday the 13th Part 2, it's at least as good as those, if not better. Come back on Wednesday for another stylized neo-noir, ultra stylized. We're talking about the movie Belly by Hype Williams, starring Nas and DMX. All right, so we will be back with more of that.
Bye.
Hit this motherfucker, G.
No, man, I can't fuck with it right now.
Oh, man, I've been dealing with you for 3 motherfucking months. You ain't hit the pipe in front of me yet.
So what you saying?
I think you 5-0.
5-0? Man, I ain't no motherfucking cop.
Well, hit this motherfucker then.
Thank you for watching The Projectors. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We are available on YouTube and podcast. You can also support the show by liking, leaving comments, reviewing, sharing, and never questioning Bob when he claims that certain characters in movies are like autism. We love you. Goodbye.
Tonight's the night I get in some shit. Yeah. Deep cover on the incognito tip. Killing motherfuckers if I have to. Filling gaps too. Let your niggas know I'm coming at you. I guess that's part of the game. But I feel for the nigga who think he just gon' come and change things with the swiftness. So get it right with the quickness and let me handle my business. Yo, I'm on a mission and my mission won't stop until I get the nigga maxing at the top.